make a different end up.
I'll start like tapping my watch.
Yeah.
Or something.
So you got to kick it off?
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't even know where we're going.
What's your last name?
Lisa.
Lisa. And I'll say you're from the Bike Stig on YouTube, California Superbike School.
Yeah, well, use Jorge. I tell
Okay.
everyone it's Jorge because my track name is Jorge.
Okay.
And I tell him on YouTube I keep George Lisa out of it.
Yeah.
And I go, it's Jorge.
Okay, so call you Jorge.
Jorge, yeah.
Okay. Is that what everyone calls you?
As in, you know, the Spanish version of George.
Yeah.
They do on tracks. On track, I'm Jorge. Like,
Yeah.
that's.
There you go.
Yeah.
Jorge. There
So
you
we
go.
I try to keep it just a tad separate from,
I like
from
it.
home.
Jorge. Okay. I like it.
Because then everyone goes, what's your name? Is it Jorge? Is it like, it's just a
I was
trigger
also
point.
a bit when introduced with Les, like, I'm sure he calls himself George, but I don't know. So there you go.
Yeah, so letters are all Jorge and
Nice.
people come up, Jorge, Bike Stig, fuck.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, you really? Can't tell you.
Can't tell.
Have to kill you.
I wish I had that on my YouTube. All right. Yeah, well, guys, got Jorge, the Bike Stig from YouTube. You guys probably checked him out, and stoked to have you here, mate. Also with the California Superbike School.
Yep.
So I know you're heading down to Phillip Island and dropped in here at Frankston on the way, and we've had you riding bikes, which I'm sure the guys will check out. So we can talk about that separate. But so tell us, like, you 63-year-old, lifelong motorcycle
pretty much.
enthusiast. Got quite the following online. I love your position with the California Superbike School.
Yeah.
Actually, I booked my old man in. I bought it for him for Christmas last year. Still got to come for a ride with you.
Yeah.
But so I want to hear from like the very beginning. Like, how'd you get into motorcycling?
I remember someone had a bike, or no, I was only 15 at the time. Someone had a bike,
Yeah.
and then we ended up going for a ride and kind of, fell for it. So
Easy.
Yeah, and I left school at 15, so I had some money.
Yeah.
And then I convinced my mother that I needed to buy a motorbike. So I bought this motorbike, and 250 Yamaha, I remember it. And I would push it away from the house. I'd say, listen, I'm just going to wheel it down to my friend's place, and she'd go, okay, no worries. I'd wheel it around the corner and get on it and ride it.
That's awesome.
So a couple of years of unlicensed riding.
Caught the bug.
That kind of was the beginning, yeah.
I love it.
And then
I was just going to say, like, so that's like that very beginning, like that young man freedom, like you're off. Now,
I think so, yeah.
Now as a, matured guy,
Yep.
I don't know if YouTube will agree with that. I'll say it though.
What's that, 48 years ago, yeah, I guess.
Why do you ride now?
It's a passion. There's a couple of reasons which I think a lot of bike riders would agree with. For me, it's a form of meditation.
Yeah.
Because it's that single-minded focus on one thing.
Yeah.
And like surfers and motocrossers and everyone gets, unlike a car, you're a part of a machine, and there's just something about you having to be an integral piece of the machinery to make it work that is just addictive. And but now it's not racing or anything. It's just on top of that, I get the joy of coaching people, with the Superbike School. Yeah. So.
I love that. We always say we can't insure the nut that connects the foot pegs to the handlebars.
That's true.
That's you.
That's true. Yeah.
And so with the school, you see a lot of riders come through. I'm interested for like people watching. A huge part of our customer base are either enthusiasts, recreational riders, or a lot of them are even quite new to the sport as well. So what's a couple of things that you normally, like what's your highlight reel to someone watching to say, all right, I want to become a better rider?
Yeah.
Maybe that means safer, maybe that means faster. Like what's your kind of highlight reel of how you go about that?
I think first people have got to realise that riding a motorcycle is not really intuitive. There's parts of motorcycle riding, like counter steering, that don't quite make sense.
Yeah.
When you're taught to ride a bike on a trike, or you've got trainer wheels and all that, it actually teaches the wrong skill.
Yeah.
So the biggest things that jump out of me, in terms of people riding, is first of all recognising that there is a science behind cornering, but it is not something that you get from YouTube or you get through discovery, unless you're going to, you crash a lot. People crash, and that's how they learn all these limits, but they don't necessarily learn good technique because it may be counterintuitive how it works. So that would be the start point.
So how do you learn that?
Yeah, that's what the school does. So the school the Superbike School doesn't teach people how to ride a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Right? You learn that somewhere else.
Yeah.
Now that you can ride a bike, you come to the school and they teach you the art or the science of the most difficult part, and that is turning a corner.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know, this is not a promo either.
No,
literally. Yeah, I'm fascinated by that. So,
Because straight line, anyone can go crack that throttle line and go straight.
Yeah.
Bike's super stable.
Yeah.
Generally, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
It's when you go around a bend.
So you're talking a lot about race, like track-based stuff.
Nope.
You're talking motorcycle. If you're on the road,
Motorcycle ride.
This is a general. If
Correct.
you're a motorcyclist,
Yeah.
you need to learn the science and the art of cornering.
Yes. If you like this on the road, there's obviously other factors. There's people coming at you. There's a different type of motorcycle you're on, and that type of thing. But the principles behind throttle control and what you do with your eyes, and how you operate the machinery itself, and how you attach to it with your body, those principles don't change.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So do you have anything that you can tell the guys to watch, or are you saying that's an in-person, we need to critique your positioning, your vision, all that stuff in person?
Yeah, it's like you can tell people, you can say to people, well, I can tell people probably what I observe coaching students, right?
Yeah.
And all the coaches at the Superbike School would agree with generally.
Yeah.
Very few people come to the school in terms of, if there's 1,000 people, it would be less than 500 of them actually really know how to steer that motorcycle.
Interesting, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Properly. The second thing is, and it's the first drill the school covers, is throttle control of all things.
Yeah.
And people get the throttle control wrong,
Yeah.
right? So when you have steering and line selection and throttle control and you have little errors with it, this is why you get, I believe, a significant number of crashes that could be avoided on the road.
Wow. Because they've gone to the learner training course, they've passed the course, you can ride, says the government.
Right, they know the rules. So basically, know how to ride a bike complying with the rules of the road.
Yeah.
Right, and they've demonstrated that they can, take the machinery out there and turn around and bring it back, kind of thing. But they haven't. But that's more about compliance and, can you operate a piece of machinery on the road?
Interesting, because I'm of the view that riding a motorcycle, you can be confident. Like I can say to my wife, I'm a motorcyclist, I ride on the road, I never race on the road. Like if I come to the track with you at Phillip Island, I'll probably crash because I'll ride above my skill set and I'll go as hard as I possibly can.
Right.
But if we went for a ride from here, through the mountain ranges, there's no chance I would crash. I would nearly. Obviously that's a risk. But I would never ride over my head on the road because I understand the risk. But in that, I'm confident to say to my wife, I'm safe on the road. Because from 5 years old, my dad, a motorcyclist, taught me that if you're on the track with someone, you're on the road with someone, your responsibility is to be aware of them. So, like my wife, for example, drives the car through the lights and just drives, where I drive and I'm looking, because if someone else runs a red light, it's my responsibility to not get hit. And so I guess what I'm trying to promote is like motorcycling is a risk that you can manage and you can confidently say to your family that you can ride safely on the road if you learn how to ride well. And that's what I'm really trying to encourage to my group of riders is let's get educated on how to ride a motorcycle, not just I've got my license, I know how to use the clutch, and let's go. Is there anything you'd say to that?
I would. It's a combination of those things. It's because what you said was what I like to describe as egoless driving. You haven't dragged your ego on like I'm going to win kind of thing.
I'll probably take that to Phillip Island, but I'm not going to take it to the road.
Well, that's why we slow everyone down at Phillip Island. But so attitude is something that has to be combined with good technique, which is combined with the ability to comply with the rules and all that. When you combine them, I would say you're going to be a much safer rider, because I would say I've done in my time frame, I know I did as an ex-motorbike cop over 300,000 kilometres as a cop without crashing.
That's a lot of...
I've probably done 1 million kilometres in my 48 years of riding, right? And been pretty safe in that whole time. But like I say, it's a combination of attitude, plus the skill, plus the ability to comply with the rules. But the issue we see is you can have the attitude, but you can't add speed, and people start to get a tendency to go faster, to poor technique.
Yes.
So you can have very good attitude and all that. You start to crank up the speed.
Yeah.
You know what is a good line? When do you turn into a corner?
Yeah.
Now, if you're riding up the range, what do you do with the throttle? When do you roll it off? When do you roll it on?
Interesting.
If they can't answer those questions, they're technical or scientific answered questions, then there's a gap in the technical understanding.
Yeah.
Even though,
which most people, you're not going to get that from your learner approved course.
No, you won't.
You only learn that probably if you want to race, or if you're watching something like this and interested in becoming a better motorcyclist.
yeah. Well, I always say to people, you can be a safe rider, but are you the safest?
Yeah.
So to me, the safest rider is the one who has the attitude, but also understands the principles of what you do to that motorcycle, what you do with your eyes to corner, how you corner, because there is a science there.
I love that.
Yeah.
What I love about talking to you is, like, I've got a son who's 6 weeks old, so I'm starting to think about, is he going to be a motorcyclist?
Yeah, right.
My wife's family are not. My family's very passionate.
Yeah.
And the answer is yes. I think it's incredibly important, especially for young men and everyone in general, but especially for young men, to have a motorcycle or a sport that is risky, but they can bring their attitude, their principles, their discipline to, and manage that risk. And I think motorcycling's the best example of that as a sport, but as someone who just rides to work or rides for fun, I think we can take that too. It's almost like you said, a meditation or a martial art, where if you've got the discipline, the attitude, you've got the processes and the skill sets, and then you combine that with the legal requirements, the law. Yeah. What an experience. Like, motorcycling is not just freedom, but it's
an addiction,
as
you know.
Yeah, I'm addicted.
Tell me about it. It's like, fortunately I get a lot of time, a lot of track time now.
Yeah.
But I ride every weekend. I always get the question, people go, well, track and street riding is different. I go, well, yes, in terms of speed maybe, but principles are the same.
Interesting.
And the addiction's the same.
I think the principles brings a whole new element to motorcycling. I'd love for, like, if you're a new rider and new to our sport, or even if you just got a license and never thought about the principle of riding and the disciplines and attitudes, I think that it just adds a whole new level to riding. Like, when I go trail riding now, I'm not racing and cutting edge, but when I'm with my mates, I want to beat them. Yeah, right. There's always that element, but I'm thinking about my technique so much more, and it just makes riding so enjoyable when you nail a corner, and you just, like, it just feels incredible when the bike, the body, everything's working. And
same on the road.
Yeah.
It's dirt and road is very similar in that regard.
I love that.
Here's something for you. I always tell people, I go, they fall in the trap of one of two things. They think they've got to buy the most expensive machinery out there, or they need to buy, all the most expensive upgrades to the machine they got in order, because they want to go faster or something. Yeah. I go, most people cannot get the most out of a motorcycle.
True.
And I've proven this to people by, riding 250 Ninjas and little bikes, and they're going, how come you can keep up?
Smash them.
I go, yeah, well, see, but that's the point. With better technique, all these bikes, whether it be braaap or some other brand, right, is going to work because you're more likely to get the most out of that bike. And the other thing, the most unstable thing on the motorcycle is the rider, not the bike.
True.
It's inherently stable.
That's interesting, man.
We're trying to fix that.
I can't wait to see the Facebook comments on this one. I don't know that all of our guys are going to agree. They're going to.
That's cool.
The motorcyclist always blames the motorcycle.
Of course they do.
But it's interesting. Like, I think, I sell upgrades and options. That's a huge part of our business.
Yeah.
But most people buy them just because of the feeling. Like, I do it to my own bikes. Like, I've got bikes here with hotted up things. I'm like, I do not need that part on that bike, but it's just cool, and it's okay. Like, that's all part of it.
It's necessary.
One of my favourite quotes is, you should never let your motorcycle take you somewhere your mind hasn't taken you 3 seconds earlier.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's a good quote, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
What are your thoughts on, like, any tips for where to look? Because I think that's one of the critical bits that never gets talked about. Yeah. Where do you look when you're riding a bike? And a lot of these guys, we try and bring that conversation up. Most people haven't thought about it.
We spend a full day talking about visuals at the Superbike School. It's the second level, because the way we describe it is, in the fundamental principles in level 1 is what to do to the motorcycle. What to do, when to do it, how to do it. But you've got a computer, a data collector here, right?
Yeah.
And this computer's going to make decisions. We all have the same information out there. How come people go faster than others? That's because, one, they don't get the right information. Two, they hamper their visual processing by a lot of eye movement and searching. And thirdly, they don't know how to make the right decisions about that because of that. Now it affects their controls. So to try and answer that question in a minute is going to be like impossible.
So you're saying you spent a whole day?
A whole day on visuals.
Wow.
And there's elements of visuality, or visual processing that people don't even realise. A faster rider has more processing time even though they're faster because they move their eyes less.
Interesting. They're looking further ahead.
No, they don't. This is the thing. Yeah, there's this misnomer. So looking ahead is important, yes. And I always describe it in terms of before you pull the trigger, you want to be aiming.
Yeah.
Right, which
Great
means
point, yeah.
look to the thing before you turn the bike to the thing.
Yeah.
But the biggest mistake we see is you get this look through the corner, right? So well intended, but misunderstood.
Okay.
By looking too far, now you have a tendency to not hit the thing that you should be hitting here.
So look where you're going.
Yeah.
So you're saying don't overdo it.
But yes, but not too far ahead, but it needs to be far enough ahead that you're aiming before you pull the trigger. So pulling the trigger is the steering, let's just call it that. But not so far ahead that you're inaccurate on where you're riding.
So how would you practice that? Someone's just heard that for the first time, about to ride to work. What
on
would
the track.
Get it on track.
Oh, well, that's why this.
Do you think every motorcyclist should book a track day at least once?
Not a track day. I think everyone should do at least level 1
Yeah.
at a school like the Superbike School.
Awesome. I've booked that in. I'm going to book in myself.
Oh, you got to do it.
We'll do a follow-up video.
And the reason I say you'll do at least level 1 is because you'll do 1 and you'll want to do 2.
Oh, it's
Because it's like there's these, and that's the way the school is structured. There's 15 things that you need to know. But you got to know them, not what's the word?
not consciously, but in your.
You've got to you've got to felt it because being told how to steer a bike is a lot different than steering that bike.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
yeah.
We're going to do a video follow-up. So before we finish up,
Yep.
YouTube, tell me about what you do there. What's it about?
The Bike Stig.
Yeah.
You just go to YouTube, you look for the Bike Stig.
Yeah.
It's a channel that we started a few years ago. It's been a bit quiet of late because of post-COVID, obviously.
Yeah.
But I built it to make my motorcycle riding tax deductible. Right?
There you go.
So thumbs up for
Any
that.
braaap owners want to make their motorcycle tax deductible?
100%. But secondly, it's just a way of sharing information, and after 48 years of riding and a lot of good coaching for me.
Yeah.
So I'm just sharing that.
Awesome.
And my goal is to prevent people from crashing and all, because I hear all this, motorcycles unsafe and shouldn't be. I guess, yeah, right, okay. Yeah, riders are unsafe.
That's such a great point. Yeah.
Motorcycles aren't unsafe. They're technically very stable. Yeah. And it's the same with cars. Cars aren't unsafe. It's the driver that is unsafe. So if I can contribute in that regard, then I'll do that.
Love it. Well, mate, we're cheering you on with that. That's awesome. So guys, in comments, love to hear, if jump over and check out the Bike Stig. I'd love to hear from any of our guys, like braaap owners that are watching, what we could do content-wise with this guy. I've been on him he came down here to test ride some bikes. I sat him at the table and said, I've got a couple of proposals for you. So I'm trying to reel him in. So if you guys have any content ideas, I'm super keen to do some stuff next year. So we'll try and get the guys to rev you up too.
And maybe they might see a track bike out there with braaap on it.
I love the sound of that. Let's make that happen. So let's lock that in.
Yeah.
So there's a new track being built close to you?
There is, Townsville.
Nice. When's it ready?
I believe April next year.
Awesome.
So I've signed up with the race club there.
Nice.
But I'm not going to race anymore, but I'm definitely going to do the track race.
And so why would you want a braaap track bike?
I wanted a mid-sized bike.
Yeah.
But my goal is to prove to people that it's less about the bike, it's more about the rider.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and the other side of it is, if you're going to get into that type of thing, a mid-sized bike, look, cost effectiveness.
So true.
I just look at it and go, everyone wants to ride a superbike. I go, do you really understand what it's like on a superbike, right?
Yeah.
A 300 kilometre an hour monster, right? You're going to work hard, you better have your act together,
Yeah.
and it's super expensive because we wear out a set of tyres, you know, which is probably $600 for every day.
Wow.
So
$600 a
It's $600 a pair. We wear them out on a day.
I mean, like 5 weekends,
Yeah.
and you could have paid for a new braaap.
There you go.
Well, I love the sound of
yeah.
that, because one of the reasons I love riding mid-size or lower capacity bikes is, I ride more on the road than the track, but I love twisting the throttle.
Yeah.
And if I have 1,000, which we did, I'm
Temptation.
looking at the speedo the whole time,
Yeah.
because I also need a license, because
Yeah.
I got kids to run around,
Yeah, right.
you know, so having a 250 or a 400, I like that I can twist it a bit, I can feel like I'm riding, so I'm going to be watching you on this track bike. I want to come join you too. So.
Yeah, I actually think it's going to be the right message to people. You know, don't fall into the trap of thinking you've got to buy a MotoGP bike to go fast.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so.
We're on.
Well,
All
good.
right, thank you. Appreciate it. You got to
My
go to
pleasure.
Phillip Island.
My pleasure.
I got to go do spreadsheets.
Good on you.
Good, thank you. Good, mate. Did we?
Sweet.
Oh, 1:30.